Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Rail Nation live stream. My name is Nikki, also known as Nikki. Obviously, my name isn't Nikki, but I'm Nikki, and I am your Community Communications Manager. Some of you don't know who I am, but most of you, if you are lingering in the Discord, know by now that I tend to pop in every now and then and observe everything that's happening in there. But most of you have never met me before, and previously to me, it was Salax, who was the previous Community Communications Manager, but obviously I am your best and most important one now. So today we're going to go through a number of different things with regards to what's coming up in Rail Nation. But before we go ahead and get into all of that, I thought I would take the moment to introduce myself, just make you aware of what I do, because obviously the Community Communication Manager role is a bit of a mystery to a lot of you. So I think I'd take a few seconds of your time to kind of give you an overview of what that might be, and also kind of give you an indication of where we might be heading long term with the streams and the videos. So Community Communications Manager is somebody who will make sure that whenever there's anything that needs to be communicated out to you guys, it's done on time in a way that's clear and understandable, and if there's any questions, that we make sure that we're answering them as soon as possible. So part of that involves streams, and part of that involves making sure that all of you are being kept informed in a number of different ways, because obviously majority of you by now are used to reading posts on the blog, posts in the Discord, emails. You're used to getting a lot of things in text-based form. So as the new plan for going forward in this year, and hopefully for the entire time for doing any community-based communications, our plan will be to do more video content so that it's easier for you to be able to digest it in the time that you have available to you, in a way that may be easier to understand and harder to misinterpret. Because a lot of the time when we do stuff in text, it's kind of confusing, or it can lead to a lot of questions later on. And you need to come to the team, the community management team, more often than not whenever there's any grey areas. So the hope is, with video content, we can go ahead and make it more structured, more informative, and kind of more enjoyable. Because I know personally that I don't like to sit and read an entire wall of text. If I get an email, more often than not, if I don't have the time, I will make a note of it and then forget about it. But the hope is we can communicate everything that you want to know in a way that's beneficial for you and not just text all the time. Obviously, I apologize in advance. My German is not quite there. Hence having to speak in English and do all of our streams in English. But in future, we do intend to produce some content in the videos that might be able to get translated. So for example, our video content that we intend to do is things like tutorials on different levels of understanding. So we know we have some basic entry level mechanics that need to be understood for players that are new to the game, that don't necessarily take to it as easily as some of the other players. So we're going to produce some content that will be understandable for them, and we'll also produce content for the more advanced players. The intent is to ask the community to share their tips and tricks and understanding of ways to play the game that's beneficial to them, and kind of better ways of playing as a community, or playing, if you do prefer to play on your own, playing as an individual. But the intention is to produce content that would be beneficial for you guys to better understand how to play the game in a more enjoyable and more competitive way, I suppose, because obviously some of you are playing this game mainly to win, as I know most of you from the many discussions I've seen all have the intention of getting as much out of the end game as you can. So the content that we intend to produce isn't necessarily all going to be video content. Our plan as well, long term, is to do podcasts, because obviously there are a number of you who may want to sit and listen to something whilst you're doing other things, and it would be easier for you to maybe learn about how to do a certain trick that you've been struggling with for years. So the intention is, not only will we do video content, we'll do audio content, but at the same time we will do more of these streams. In the future, it won't just be myself. We intend to invite the devs. We intend to invite some of the team to introduce you all to the Rail Nation team so that you are more familiar and more open and welcomed by us all, because I know at times it just seems like there's one or two people talking to you in the Discord or on the forums, and it kind of feels like there's a bit of a disconnect between us and you guys. And it's really important that we bring us all back together and make sure that if you have any concerns, that we're hearing them and all, and that you feel welcomed and more like you can approach us when you have these technical questions or misunderstandings. So we will be doing more streams where I'll introduce you to team members and you can ask them questions directly. But don't worry, whenever we plan to do these, we'll give you plenty of warning in advance. I know that the notice for this one was a little bit too short. It was just a few days, but I promise you that wasn't the intention. The intention was to give you as much notice as possible. However, due to a few technical issues, I ended up only giving you a few days notice. But regardless, we're here and I'm very much looking forward to introducing you to some of the stuff that we've got coming up. So first of all, let's get into the most important thing that we need to discuss at the moment, and that is the community the Community Conductor Awards. Now, I know that there's been very unclear at the moment with regards to every now and then in the Discord or the forum, you will see a little notification saying congratulations to this person for winning the Community Conductor Award, and it's not very clear what that might mean. So the idea behind the Community Conductor Award is we want to give back to you guys who give us so much support and so much appreciation, and there are individuals within the community who just go above and beyond every single time we give you an activity or a competition to compete in. There is just so many of you that are passionate about the game, and it's clear, it's very clear just how willing you are to help one another, and because of this, we have come up with the Community Conductor Award. Already, we are in June, and obviously there has been a number of people who have already won for a number of reasons. So in January, we had the Prestige Party, and we had somebody selected at random in January, and then in February, we had a winner who won because they did a really, really interesting Valentine's Day piece that we put out for the competition we had in February. And then in March, we had the spring event. And then the last 2 months have been very, very, very impressive with the amount of effort that you guys have been given towards our competitions and helping one another. In April, we had a particularly standout person who has gone every single time there is a question in the Discord, or every single time there has been a question anywhere, or a player is in need, this community member has just gone out of their way. They've gone the extra mile to talk to them, give them all of their knowledge and experience, and it's people like that within the community that we want to be able to just thank. And this is why today we also have to announce our winner of the May Community Conductor, and I will go ahead and let you know that later on. But for now, I want to show you the actual trophy, because the concept behind this is every month one person will be picked, and that person's name will be inscribed on our plaque. And this plaque will be then continually updated every month, and at the end of the year, the person from the community who has dedicated the most or done the most exceptional or stood out above the crowd within the community, they will be sent this Community Conductor trophy. And the trophy itself is pretty hefty, so I'll go ahead and show you this incredible trophy. So this is the Community Conductor trophy, and already we have our first 3 names on there. Those first 3 names are January, February, and of course March's winners. We did announce the April winner, and that was Yanzi, of course, our very, very exceptional standout community vendor. Their name and the person who wins in May will be added to this soon, and we will continue to update the Community Conductor trophy every month and keep you informed. Our plan is to have this loud and proud on every single stream so that you'll be able to see who's been winning it, who's essentially in the lead, and who's most likely to win it by the end of the year. And at the end of the year, we will send this trophy to the person who wins. So let's get on with today. So today we have quite a packed schedule. We have the announcement for the upcoming Platform X features, and as well as that we have a nice Q&A session, and then we have a nice surprise section right at the end, which I am particularly looking forward to. But more importantly, the Platform X content this time is, it's pretty good. I'm more than a little bit excited. I am impressed and eager to see how you guys take some of this content and these features, because I really think that you're going to be blown away by some of the stuff that we've got in the next Platform X. It's exceptional. So let's get straight into that, shall we? So the next Platform X is going to be called Titans of Economy. Platform X Titans of Economy obviously is the same situation as before. You will be sent into a game world where you can play with completely new feature set. So it's a different experience. So if you've never played Platform X before, you are essentially given an environment where you can test new limits that you won't normally experience on the classic areas. And then if these features are particularly enjoyable or well received, there's a chance that they could join the classic servers and they could be experienced as a standard in our future game worlds. So with the first feature that we're going to go into in a minute, I just want to make sure that if you didn't already know, in the recent announcement with regards to the Platform X working class heroes, one of the features that came from there in that last announcement, I think it was part of our train month, we announced that the prestige for industries is actually now been added to our game worlds. So those are experienced in all of our classic worlds right now, and some of them I believe are still waiting to be updated. I'm not sure about that, but those prestige for industries are going to stay in the next Platform X. So what that means is that if you provide goods to an industry that needs a resource, then when that industry levels up, you'll receive prestige. And this also applies to in the Steam across Europe and American Dream. You will still receive prestige when your harbors and your warehouses update overnight. So this is on top of that. And I know that previously when we did that announcement, a number of you did pick out that indeed was an issue, and you correctly identified that did indeed became an issue, and we very much appreciate that. That feedback that you gave us instantaneously was received by the dev team, and because of you guys, they quickly fixed it, and it's now running pretty well. No issues, and it's all because of the effort that you put in to make sure that we kept informed. So the first thing I want to introduce you all to in the Platform X Titans of Economy is, as a standard, as part of the start of all of the new game worlds in Platform X, players can now collaborate together from the start, as the servers will provide associations with 25 member slots. And not only that, these 25 member slots also mean that there is now going to be a 4th worker slot. That essentially means that for you to be able to level up, you only need 4 of those headquarters slots. It makes life a lot easier for you guys to be able to work together and collaborate and get your feet on the ground and going as fast as you can. Because I know when you start in these game worlds, what tends to happen is you struggle to find your investments from your fellow players and unlocking those slots, but we don't need to worry about that anymore, because you will now from the start have those 25 slots available from the get-go, and you'll be able to use them to be able to get more, to be able to invest more in your prestige and level up a lot quicker, which wasn't necessarily easy before. You always had to struggle first to invest in your slots to be able to unlock more, and then it was a very kind of slow and steady pace thing. But now you don't need to worry about that. You'll be able to go ahead and just straight away get your teams together, get your groups, your regular friends, your whoever you play with on a regular basis from the start. you can now work together and go ahead and end for that end game. Make sure that you've got everything invested and got everything going from day one. And I know that struggle is something that a lot of you struggled with before. In addition to that, we don't have a screenshot, but this is the screenshot which we've got of the slots of the new association set up from the start. But the next thing is actually the trains are going to be a lot faster. I haven't got a screenshot for that. I wish, in future, what I'll intend to do is actually have the game world live for you to be able to see it, and you can see how it runs. You'll be able to see a lot more than a screenshot, because right now all I have is screenshots. But the trains in the next Platform X, in Platform X2, are literally just going to be incredibly faster, and you'll be able to physically see them moving a lot faster, which means that you can travel greater distance to avoid high waiting times for those closer to home resources. So now, if you think about at the later game and the issues that you have with having to wait for those immediate resources that are close to home, and you have to spend a lot of time waiting, you now can actually use the Pollux and the career engine a little bit more, because those trains are excluded in the faster, but they are deliberately excluded in being the faster trains, because it means that the engines become even more useful now, especially in the end game, because a fully upgraded Pollux, for example, it will now be able to go greater distance because the tile speed is actually shortened. So they may seem like they're going faster, but in reality they are faster because the distance of the tiles are a lot smaller. So yeah, I would highly recommend trying to invest. Make sure you're watching those videos. Make sure that you're getting those upgrades for your Pollux. And if you haven't already been taking advantage of your career engines, 100% make sure that you spend a little bit more time figuring out how that career engine works, and invest a little bit extra time and energy in pushing to make the best use out of that you can. The next feature that is going to be quite interesting for you all is quite an impressive one. The station shopping mall, you can now pay gold to upgrade, but at the same time you get gold as a bonus for it. So instead of previously having to invest money in it or cost into it, you can actually invest gold, and over time it means that you now have a passive generating income of source of gold within your concourse. Within your station. You can now over time increase the amount that you invest in that shopping mall, but you will earn more the more you invest as well. So I know my head's in the way of this one, but the intention with this is, previously we've known and we've heard a lot of the feedback is that there isn't any passive source of gold in the game currently, but this hopefully will resolve that issue. And as you can see, as you invest more into the same way you do with the shopping mall at the moment, the more you invest, the more it costs to invest. But the same time now, what will happen is the more gold you invest into the shopping mall, the more gold you will get out of it. And I personally can't wait to use that one, purely because I know that I go through my gold so quickly, and having something like this is going to be a massive benefit to me. And I know it's going to be a big benefit to most of our players, because having this passive income of gold means that you will always be able to have that there to be able to plan ahead. You know you're going to get it, and be able to strategically plan to make sure that you are working the best that you can in the time that you've got. That, personally, I think is one of my favorite ones. I don't know about you guys, but it's an improvement, and I can't wait to test to see how that works out. The next impressive feature that's coming to Titans of Economy is we now have quite a few updates to some of our workers. The workers themselves will be increased. Some of them, their bonuses will be quite significantly increased. Some of them will only just be increased, but the full information about these workers will be available and uploaded soon. And that's a point that I need to make as well. Everything I'm telling you here, everything that I'm going through with the features, the plans that we have for Platform X, Titans of Economy, there will be an announcement about this. The details will be available on our blog. We will do something to make sure that if you miss this stream and you don't have time to go through the stream, you can at least read up on that on your own time. But don't worry about missing details. You will all be kept informed. So for now, I'm just giving you some brief highlights, some snippets, these little extracts into what could be, so that you can kind of get yourself hyped around playing the new Titans of Economy. So to give you an idea of some of the workers, so for example, Rockefeller, Astor, and forgive my German pronouncement, Fürstenberg. Okay, I'm not brilliant at German, but I'm trying. It's getting there. But those three give you more money per hour. I can hear people laughing. I'm fine. My German's getting better, I promise. Eventually I will speak perfect German, but for now, please just bear with my German. The workers Smith, Max, and Keynes, their investment has been reduced by 50%. It was 20%, but it is now. Your reduction to investment is going to be reduced by 50%. The city connection is now 90% cheaper, where previously it was 30%, and you get them on like Kahn and Brandt. And then there is a lot more, but like I said, the full details of all of those workers and all of the tweaks to their bonuses and the increase are going to be available for you to read whenever we post them. It will be soon. I promise you that I can definitely get that out onto a blog for you, so that you can at least in your own time be able to read through. In addition to the workers being tweaked, the actual workers themselves, they're going to be occurring more frequently. Like previously, they occurred every 120. Previously, they occurred every 120 minutes, but now they're going to be occurring every 60 minutes. So you don't have to wait as long. So not only are these workers going to be buffed and their bonuses are going to be increased, and you can now plan to use them a lot more. You can get hold of them a lot more as well, because the frequency of them occurring in the auctions are going to be every 20 minutes. Every 60 minutes, not 20 minutes. Previously it was 120 minutes, now it's 60 minutes. And I think that we're going to be a game changer if more people are going to have access to these workers. Then what does that mean about your playstyle? Maybe you have to adapt a little bit. Maybe you have to change the way you use your workers if they're going to be available more frequently. I mean, how often are you going to use your most select ones? Which one should you go for now? Which ones are the most beneficial? It's going to change the entire playing field, and you are just going to need to adapt. You're going to have to work on the fly on how you can use who's going to be the new favorite. I mean, you might have had a worker previously that you always waited for, and you always put some investment aside ready to snatch him up. But now remember as well, everyone's going to have the 25 slot associations. You're all going to have more opportunity to get them, and you might all suddenly find the benefit of using that newly increased bonus worker. So yeah, I'm interested to see how you guys respond and how you adapt, because I know there are some choice workers at the moment that everyone prefers over everybody else, and I want to see what the new one will be. Another impressive situation that we are increasing, another thing that we intend to increase, is now at the end game, when you win with a city, whereas before you would get 10k for winning, 10k prestige points for winning. We're changing that. We're now going to see what it's like, how hard you're going to work and how competitive things might be if you end with 50k prestige points. So instead of 10k now, you are going to, for home cities that win, you're now going to get 50k prestige points. So that's going to be 45 for winning, and then you get the bonus 5k for having connected city. Knowing that you're going to have to compete for such a big prize pool and all these workers, this is going to make the entire gameplay experience change completely. I personally think you're all going to be a little bit more competitive than normal. I know that people's play styles are going to just change, but how much more competitive are you going to be knowing that if you win, your home city wins, you're going to get that 50k prestige points? I think a lot of you will be. Yeah, I'm seeing that a number of you are already asking, put subtitles please. Any suggestions for improving this, feel free to let me know. I apologize that I don't speak Russian. I wish I did, but German is already a difficult language for me to learn. I think Russian would be equally difficult for me to learn, but I apologize that I don't understand what you're saying in Russian, but I appreciate you saying it nonetheless. And I will take the time to try and understand or ask my colleagues later on to translate it for me. So at least I know if you're asking any questions or you're giving any feedback or suggestions that I'm not missing it. I promise you, I do go out of my way to make sure if I don't understand any translations that at least I find out later on, and I won't miss it, I promise. So on to the next one. Just give me a second. I just need to stretch a little. My chair is not particularly comfortable, but it's what I'm dealing with. Unfortunately, I'm quite a tall person as well, and right above my head there's a microphone, so I don't want to stand up at any time and smack my head, because unfortunately I'm quite accident prone. So the next thing that we want to go on to is the licenses are also going to be tweaked. So the licenses are actually going to be increasing. We're going to be basically increasing the license bonus from 10% to 20%. And we're also going to be increasing the max workload for the industry from 300% to 500%. The entire point of this is to try and make more licenses more helpful. And by making them more helpful, it will increase like the waiting times, because we know that the increased waiting time is extremely important in the end game. So we want to make sure that those license and are more helpful to you guys, and gives you the opportunity to essentially grow a lot faster, because at the moment the license situation is something that we're looking to make more beneficial overall to you guys. And if this is one way of doing it, we will definitely like to see your feedback on it and see how you tolerate or how it works for you. So the licenses are going from 10% to 20%, and the max workload for industry is also increasing from 300 to 500%. And again, I've got this wonderfully informative screenshot to let you guys see how that's going to look. It's something that I've yet to try myself, and I'm looking forward to making sure that when I test this out, I want to see how this actually works in endgame, because I'm also extremely interested to see how overall you guys are going to like take advantage of these licenses. With them being swapped out, does this mean that you are going to use them more often? Does this mean that maybe increasing them even more is going to be beneficial to you guys? It's important that you test them at least and let us see if they are useful, if they should stay like that, if they should maybe be increased even more, especially with the max workload. If that's a winning combination, it would be perfect to know if you guys can use these new features in a way that does make your entire setup grow a lot faster. In addition to that, you're also going to see the number of licenses in the auction at the same time is going to double. So that in itself, in combination with the license bonus increase, means that more players get to have licenses and experience that new and improved bonus. So that means a lot more of you are going to be growing a lot faster in your associations with these potentially really powerful workers. This is going to be a really, really competitive platform X, and hopefully all these little features are going to make a new experience that none of you have experienced before, that is exciting, that is thrilling, and makes the end game in particular very, very, very tense. I'm extremely intrigued to see how some of you use this for the end game. One of the interesting things that some of you might find, particularly the new players, that you might find interesting is this new feature, and that is the bank limit on the earlier lower levels is going to be increased. And this is mainly aimed at like helping those who like to do a lot more in the early or just getting into it. Or maybe, for example, this is you're new to Platform X and this is your first Platform X experience. So this means by not having such a low bank limit and a higher one, you can do a lot more in those first initial levels, and maybe it gives you a bit more of a taste of the Platform X experience within a smaller time, and it mainly helps some of the newer players experience this new scenario, this new setup and this new environment for a little bit longer, and less stress in those first few levels. You know, when you start up and you need some time to kind of enjoy those first few levels and get to know everything. So with this increased bank limit, then you have a little bit more time to work at your own pace instead of feeling like you have to learn everything very, very quickly. So, and that's just one of the ways in which we're hoping to help some of our newer players. Long term, we're going to be making it a little bit more helpful for players with the video content and going out of our way to make sure that we have things in place like the wiki that we're intending to do. And some of you have already volunteered to help with the Rail Nation wiki, and we very much appreciate that those volunteers. If you are interested in volunteering for our Rail Nation wiki, reach out to the community management team, go onto the Discord, go onto the forums, say that you're interested, because any of you, regardless of the language you speak, we would appreciate anybody's input if they have experience on managing a wiki. You can work with the people that we already have volunteered. Maybe some of your tips and tricks and your knowledge would be extremely helpful to the rest of the community. So if you are interested, if you want to be involved in that and help us kind of educate some of our newer players to get the most out of Rail Nation, then reach out to our team, and we can try and hook you up, and maybe you can actually be one of our biggest contributors to making sure that all of the community is well informed and ready to play, especially in these new scenarios. I mean, Platform X is such a thrilling and exciting environment to try out new things. It's kind of important that we make sure that it's thrilling and exciting for everybody. So if you want to get involved, let us know, and we'll truly appreciate anybody's input on the wikis. So the next thing that we have, one of the next features in the Platform X Titans of Economy is the city stock limit is being changed. So we've now reduced the stock limits after the city levels up. It was free at 33% previously. It's now 0%. There's a good reason for that. I know initially it's a bit of a concern. You're a bit worried, but no, don't worry. Reducing it to 0% means that there's more. It's mainly so that you can earn a bit more money after they've leveled up, and to make it more of a challenge to level your cities. I think if you take everything into consideration, the gold income, the workers, the auctions and the licenses, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. You need that extra challenge. If everything else is becoming an increase in a bonus or a buff, having this nice little challenge, making sure that those stock limits are reduced to 0% after they've leveled up, is going to be something that you have to work with. You have to adapt. You have to maybe think about using a worker that will help you, or a license, or invest a little bit more in workers and licenses to help you kind of pick up the slack in those areas when the stock's not there anymore. So this one, I'm interested to see the impact it has on you and your play styles. How are you going to change? How are you going to adapt? How are you going to take in all of the new features and the new focuses on your playstyle and overcome this new 0% stock limit after your city levels up? And I'm interested to see how that one goes, really, because it's a fun little challenge. It could go either way, and I want to see how that happens. And one of the final feature that I wanted to introduce you to might be one that you kind of didn't see coming, and again, in combination of everything else, is a pretty impactful one. It's a pretty interesting change, and it's a feature that I think the majority of you will probably take advantage of the most. So not only are the licenses and the workers and the max workload changing so that you have a bit more of a focus on them, we are also you're also going to receive more prestige from competing in competitions. So it's going to be increased by 50%, making the competition significantly more important. So if you think about your playstyles if you're aiming for like an overall ranking situation, these competitions are probably now going to be one of your main focuses. You can earn so much prestige in just the competitions now that it depends on your playstyle. If you play independently, if you play in a team, if you're now aiming, if your main focus is overall ranking, the competitions themselves are now the most important, most beneficial source of prestige for you. I think this one, in combination with everything else, potentially could be a completely new way of playing entirely. And I'd be really interested to see how many of you take advantage of the licenses and the workers and now the competitions, and to see overall how those ranks change. Because I know that there are people that are always expected to be in the top 5 or the top 20. Are they going to change now if we're all focusing on competitions? Are some of you who are used to playing one way now going to completely switch to focusing on competitions? Is this entire change going to be a big boost to your playstyle? Suddenly, are you more interested in focusing on that overall ranking, or do you still want to focus on being part of your association and going in for the city win? I'd love to see how this one works out for the majority of you. I also want to try and test it myself. I want to get in there and I want to see if I can take advantage of those competitions and see how far I get, because I know previously I'm not very good when it comes to those competitions. I seem to lack the ability to maintain my engines, unfortunately. But those are all of the features so far, and to give you an overview of everything, this is all of them. I'll leave this up for you so you can read through. The general, like the title says, Titans of Economy, the whole point of the new Platform X is for you to shift from the previous mentality of making sure that everything's close to home, working close and expanding outwards. Now you have the opportunity to work in a way that kind of focuses less on being close to home and more branched out. Really take advantage of those industries. Really take advantage of your associations from the start, where you can all work together. And those workers, in combination with the trains running faster, you are just the possibilities are limitless here. You can completely change the what you're used to, your habits, maybe come up with new tactics. I would like to see how some of you come up with little tips and tricks that are going to be usable by everybody, and maybe there'll just be a whole new way of playing this game. And I'm excited to see how all of you take advantage of this opportunity. So probably one of the most important questions that you're wondering is, with all these glorious new features that you're all so thrilled and excited to take advantage of, when can you take advantage of them? Well, I have good news for you all. You can now go ahead from the... You can now go ahead... I'm in the way. You can now go ahead and take advantage of this from the 16th of June. As I said before, all of the server starts are going to be available for you to view. We'll communicate them out on a blog. We'll communicate them out directly. On the normal channels of communication, you'll have full details, and all of the details I've gone through today will be available to you to read at your own leisure. But just to give you all a heads up, this is when you can expect to go ahead. This is when you can expect to be able to play the new Platform X Titans of Economy. Let me move this for you so you can see from what time exactly, because I don't know why that's not there, but there you go. So from the 16th of June at 2 p.m. CEST, you'll be able to experience these on the above servers on all the different regions. You may notice that we have international. Previously we called it com, but it's now international. But full details, again, going to be available to all of you in the near future. Just hang tight for them, and I'm pretty sure you will be hearing about these things imminently. It'll be in the next few days. I know from my side you will get an email and you'll get a blog post, and we will tell you all about it in the Discord Discord and on the forums, so you'll all be kept informed and you'll be able to see this. Okay, so I hope that was fully exciting for you, and if anyone's interested as well, if you want to go through all of that again, you'll be able to see that on the highlights of this. The stream will be put on the highlights on the YouTube channel. It is being recorded, it will be edited, and it will be put up so that you'll be able to catch all of the things I went through, and you'll be able to see those screenshots again. And in future, those screenshots won't be screenshots. You will be actually able to see the game in action. It's just at the moment haven't got that set up, but that's the intention, is in future you'll be actually see the game in action and I'll be able to show you. But yeah, feel free to catch up on those details later on. But for now, we have the next section of what we're planning to go through today. As per this little, I have no hands, my hands have gone. As per the little agenda that we've got on the side here, we have a Q&A section for you to, I can answer some of your questions that you put in. I have you in front of me as well, so I can see all of your comments. So I'm going to go through some of the questions that you've submitted. There are a number of you who submitted questions on our forums and on our Discord. And just to make you aware, I can't answer all the questions purely because there were a lot. And a lot of you also DM'd me directly, which is very nice of you. If I have time, there are a number of people who are sitting in on the stream as well, and they will answer some of your questions and then contact me. But if I have enough time, you can ask questions in the chat, and then we can hopefully answer some of those. So for the meantime, we'll go through the questions that have been asked from our forums and from our Discord. And then if there's time, I will answer some of the questions that you are being asked again in the chat. Yeah, I'm hoping that in future I can put a closed caption on, so that if anybody doesn't have audio, that they can at least see the closed captions. And maybe with the highlights, we can also think about getting the closed captions put on for you. But first stream, everything is a test. Your feedback is 100% welcome. And going to the next stream, anything that can be tweaked, that I can tweak, I will go out of my way and make sure it's tweaked for you. So on to our first question. So the first question that we had came from, apologies in advance if I butcher your name, by the way. There are a number of people who have got some really interesting but hard to pronounce names. So apologies in advance if I completely butcher your name. But we had a question from somebody called Tyaris or Tariris or Tararis. And he asked, will Rail Nation ever do a one-time flat fee entrance game again? A game where everyone can start equally on the same playing field, and players the complete based on skill and effort, and not pay to win. And that question actually came up twice from two different people, just slightly variants of the same thing. So we have that question in the community from the community management team, get this question quite a lot. I think it's also the same for the supporter in the chat, so maybe they can answer me. But I'm pretty sure that this question comes up quite a lot. Why is the game pay to win, and less of a, is it ever going to change to what it used to be, and less of a pay to win? So just so you know, we don't completely rule out the idea of that. It's just something that we need to investigate in, and we're looking at the moment at potential options to make it less pay to win, but these are kind of at still the early stages, and one of these things where we hear the community's outcry about the game and the condition the game is in, and there being a lot of player experience breaking bugs, or just the overall player experience is felt to be degraded because of issues in game. So right now our focus seems to be mainly on resolving that issue and making the game more enjoyable and stable as a priority. But we're not completely taking the idea off the table. It's just one of these things that we need to investigate and put some time to, and it is something that is being talking about making it less pay to win is something that's in the early stages. But if it does transition, or we do go ahead and come up with something that is less pay to win, or change the game in a way that removes those elements, it's something that we will not only keep you informed about, but no doubt our intention for the future is to keep you involved and have you part of the development process. So it's something that you will be kept up to date with. It's something that you will help us build and develop. So the question is a good one, and like I said, we are definitely investigating the potential of making it less pay to win, but at the moment our focus is pretty much on making sure that the game is stable and improving what we currently have, and making that the play experience enjoyable for not just the long-term players but the new players, making sure that it's something that they can enjoy just as much as somebody who's been playing it for years. So good question. Titaris. Again, sorry for butchering your name, but some of you have some very good names, just very difficult names, and there are some very interesting Russian names that I will never be able to pronounce. I'm very sorry. So the next question came from Mimetus, I'm sensing a theme. The majority of everybody is ending the mutus, and but Mimitus asked us, when will the Rail Nation team finally be taking on some of the bugs with regards to the in-game chat system? And then he goes on to talk about his experience and it freezing every now and then, it just not being very intuitive. And yes, again, this topic, the topic of the in-game chat system is something that the community constantly brings up. If it's not the community talking about the chat system or the multi-account issue, the chat system is one of the most discussed topics, and we hear you, 100% hear you. It's on our priority list. It's one of the things that the feedback that we've had about improving those systems is marked as something that needs some serious development, some serious improvement, and because of it needing some serious improvement, it's one of the things that it's not something we're going to be doing immediately because of our focus on making sure that the bugs and making sure that the game is more stable and enjoyable for everybody, because that focus is currently there. The chat system may well be part of that process. We know, just because of how many of you talk about the chat system being an issue, that it needs to be improved. So maybe some of the bugs that we intend to fix, or that we will be looking in and trying to make the game more enjoyable and more stable, those bugs might well resolve some of the issues that you're feeling or facing with the chat system. But we know overall that most of the feedback we've had about the chat system are indeed big changes that need to happen, big overhauls, big reworks, and that requires a lot of dev time, and it's something that we definitely have plans for, but just not quite now, purely because we want to make sure that game is more stable for everybody. The next question came from, now I'm trying with this one because it's a name that was always on our Discord and they are always very active. Now I think it's pronounced Nyanki or Nyanki or Nyanki. It's Dutch, and I think that my Dutch accent isn't quite there, but Nyanki asks, what is the progress or the process on the current app development and the current app update? I'll let you know that some of you probably already know this if you play on the PTR. We do have the app is currently in a beta, or it is in a beta that people signed up for via the PTR servers. So the app is being tested right now. There is a build that exists, and the devs have put a lot of time and energy into it, and that's why you guys are currently involved in the testing process, because we want to see if there's anything that needs to be tweaked. The progress is looking good. It looks good so far, and the feedback that we've initially got is quite positive. But there's no release date that I can give you yet. We want to make sure that when we give it you, it is a vast improvement on what we currently have, and it is something that takes time, and we need to listen to you guys and your feedback when you're testing this. So if there's something that needs to be drastically changed, we need to make sure we're taking time to change that, and we make it easier for you guys. So if you want to participate in that PTR, I believe, now get me wrong, I think maybe somebody can correct me on this, I believe the sign up for the PTR is closed, but I'm not 100% sure. I will check and I will get back to you, and I will post the link on our Discord or on the forum if it is still something that you can sign up to. But from what I know, I believe that the PTR for the app has now closed. However, I've been informed everybody who has signed up more than happy to hear feedback on those on that PTR test, and if there's anything that you think could be an improvement or could be a welcome change or a feature that would be beneficial, then let us know how that test is going. But right now, I believe yes, the sign up is closed, but I will check, I'll let you know, and if it's not closed, then I will link it to you in the Discord and on the forum. So I hope that answered your question, Yanka. I'm very sorry I can't give you a release date, but as and when it goes ahead, I will make sure that I'm telling you. I may even DM you personally, but we will make sure that we'll communicate out when that new version is out there for you, so that you'll be able to all enjoy it just as much as the current PTR testers are. But for now, we don't have a release date. Next questions come from a name I can pronounce, Peter. I'm slightly concerned that there's a Peter that I know who works with me, and they are being a little ninja, but I doubt it. It's Peter from I believe our Discord community called Rumpy. And he asks, this. I think this one's probably aimed at me, if I'm correct. He asks, what is my opinion about the freezing situations? And there's no new functionality, and the priority in solving some of the errors. What's going to happen with the ambassadors? And we made the comment of focusing for 100% error-free is an illusion, because you can't have 100% bugs-free. And is there a plan or a targeted date for hardware and network to be ready? Because the outages are really becoming a problem. So I get this question quite a lot. People DM me quite a lot, and I think over the last few months, we've all in the community and anyone playing the game is fully aware of some of the issues that we are currently having with the stability of our logging service, the lag that we're experiencing on some of our game worlds. And we even made a statement about it to kind of keep you all informed. But the general overview of the situation is, in the last, I want to say 3 months, maybe a little bit longer, we transitioned some of our server hosting software to a new server hosting software, and that process it's been a difficult ride, because it's a new system, it's new processes, and it's a third-party supplier that's helping us with this transition from our server, from our game worlds into this new server provider. And as a result of it being new and the two systems kind of at times conflicting with one another, a lot of issues have occurred, and we apologize profusely for the outages that we've had and the issues that you are experiencing. We know April was particularly a difficult month, and we are making this our highest priority, and it has been for quite a while. We are working closely with the third-party provider to make sure that this hosting software is better integrated into our own systems, so that we have this more stable environment. And like Rompy said, that these become a thing of the past, and this just becomes an exceptional circumstance. And these teething problems they're an ongoing situation with us at the moment, in that because they're new systems, there are new issues we've never come across, and you can't plan for stuff that you aren't expecting. But the team that we have working on it are working tirelessly to make sure that there are improvements as soon as possible. And you probably noticed already in the last few weeks, I would say almost a month now, we are not experiencing any as many login errors. And we explained before that in Endgame there was an issue whenever we wanted to increase the CPU supply for the servers, so that we can make sure that there's enough processing power there for the increased amount of players who are logging on to play the endgame. And previously, when we did that via an old process, it didn't involve doing a lot of the things that we now need to do, so it was a lot easier back then. But now, because it's a new process, there were new issues that came up that meant that people were being kicked out en masse, and the login systems and the login servers then became overwhelmed by everybody trying to log back in. So it was just one issue causing another issue. And you may have noticed that has reduced a lot. We do know there are a few servers that are still experiencing a few issues every now and then, but comparatively it's improved a lot to what it was in April. This is still an ongoing thing. We are working tirelessly to make sure that hopefully soon these will no longer be a constant pain to you guys. We fully appreciate your patience on this whilst we are working with the third-party supplier, but that is also a contributing factor. We have to make sure that whatever we're doing is done in a way that works with both their software both their system and our system, and they're both working together to make sure that that stability is constant and not just a temporary thing. With regards to the ambassadors and the bugs and the overall experience in game, the plan with our ambassadors is to make sure that there's a path of communication with some dedicated people in the community and our game team, to essentially they become your voice and they talk to the dev team and the key people within Rail Nation to make sure that your priorities are being dealt with as a priority, but more importantly, you have a better understanding of why they are the way they are currently. And the team has a better understanding of why certain things are so important to you to be dealt with first, and they cannot be put off anymore. So the community ambassadors are going to be an extremely crucial part of the process of communicating and engaging with you all going forward. But at the same time, you all as a community will be openly welcomed to contribute, to be able to highlight which bugs and which points and which errors need to be communicated via the ambassadors to the team every time we held these workshops and go through these topics. And then the ambassadors will come back to you guys and communicate what was discussed in those workshops, so that you have a more direct way of being able to understand the situation, why they are the way they are, what limitations that we have, and maybe even suggest a way of improving it. Because it's at this point, it's really important that that level of communication and that connection and that way of being able to suggest your ideas and come up with resolutions is out in the open, so that everyone can benefit. Because, for example, with the Platform X feature, you guys correctly identified that Prestige for Industry might impact the harbours and the warehouses, and it did. And because of you guys, we worked quickly to be able to make sure that that was resolved very quickly. And it's that kind of planning and that kind of involvement that we want to encourage and make sure that continues with our ambassadors. But yeah, overall, we're hoping that you may have noticed the improvement. We're very, very, very aware of the bugs that you all are reporting. And just so you're aware, we do take note of all the bugs that you're reporting. We can't respond to them all, especially in the Discord. We see on a daily basis you reporting bugs. We're making a note of them, and it will become clear in time where those bugs are going, and I will hopefully personally be able to create a visible way for you to be able to check what's been voted on for, what's been spoken to with the team via the ambassadors, so you can actually see where the progress of your bugs are and what you're deeming as a priority. But yeah, I'm hoping that answers your question, Peter/Rompy. And I appreciate you not having a difficult name to pronounce. The next question came from Cletus. Again, a really useful name that I don't have to struggle to pronounce. Similar to Rompy's question, actually. It says, given that the servers are to be fixed soon, should they be able to handle more players, or can we expect a collapse of underpopulated game worlds? Secondly, thoughts on the endgame start/bonus penalty. So this question, I'll deal with the first part first, which is what can we expect to happen with underpopulated servers. And I know from talking to a couple of people internally that they are currently looking at potentially merging some of the smaller game worlds, but it's still early stages. And because we have this new shift in focus internally to kind of improve the stability and the game experience and improve the game and the bug situation, basically, this is one of the things that might be handled as part of that process, but at the same time isn't right now a priority because of the entire outcry from the community, bugs clearly, and the enjoyment of the game is number one for us right now. So yeah, it's something that we are investigating, and that potentially underpopulated game worlds might merge in the future, but it's still early stages, and we are yet to actually to make any full investigation into it, but it is being discussed. And with regards to the thoughts on the reworking of endgame bonus, etc., and Cletus made the point of bringing up the rule 3.5. And I think if you're not familiar with rule 3.5, there is a post in the Discord, and I think on the forums too. Essentially, we've explained how the end game doesn't necessarily need to be played in a set way for everybody. It's deliberately designed to be an economic environment that changes, and you have to adapt to it. And what that also means is players can play how they want. It's a welcome mechanic for players to be able to play independently, or play as a community, or play as an association, or play working towards the same thing in the same city. And this is the point that he makes with regards to rule 3.5, which is essentially a fallback rule, which is in the event of a player breaking a rule or doing something that is deemed detrimental to the experience of the server, the players, or puts people at risk, etc., then we can, at our own discretion, use rule 3.5. And that rule isn't used, it's not used lightly, it's really taken into consideration, and the majority of the time we have other rules that can be used to counteract any of these issues that we're experiencing with a player. But the rule 3.5 is only ever used in these circumstances where the player is doing something that's detrimental but not necessarily covered by any of the other rules. And with regards to the end game and how people play, that isn't one of them. People can play how they want in the end game. They can play on their own, they can play as a cooperative. It's not something that we would use that rule for. But yeah, that question, reworking the end game, I'm not going to change anytime soon. It's still designed deliberately so that everyone could freely play how they like in that end game, and for people to adapt to that environment. It's literally a tycoon economy feature, essentially, that it's part of the game. It's a challenge that you meant to be able to welcome and think strategically about and plan for it. But hopefully that kind of gives a little bit more of a clarity to you there, Cletus. And then the last question that we received was from a guy's name who I can't pronounce. I will try because it's hilarious. Jililili, good name. He asks, are there any plans to increase the penalties for multi-accounts? Now, with regards to multi-accounts, again, if it's not about the chat issue or the bugs, multi-account seems to be a incredibly high topic for all of you, and I completely understand why. The penalties for multi-accounts, I think, are already quite harsh in terms of, if you are being caught multi-accounting, you're going to get a pretty strict penalty. But I think you're trying to ask is there a better way of detecting them? And I think internally we are regularly having this discussion, and I think potentially if there are any recommendations, we are always reading it anyway. We always see your recommendations. We understand your concerns, because majority of the time, if somebody has a multi-account problem, they also have a recommendation. So we are looking at your recommendations. We are also looking internally at potential things that we could use, or things that we can do to the game that might actually limit the amount of multi-account or limit the opportunity to multi-account. So we are for sure definitely looking at things, but obviously we don't want to tell you about them, because if we tell you about them, then people might want to proxy them and avoid them and take advantage of the things that we want to implement to avoid. So yeah, I would say I can't tell you now some of the plans that we have, but we are definitely looking into it. We are definitely talking about it, and it is a priority for us to try and find ways of limiting multi-account abuse, because we know it's an issue. But they're all the questions that I've received directly. So we have a few minutes. Let me just check. Bear with me a second. We have a few minutes. So I can take some questions from you directly. Let me have a little look. Looks like nobody's asked any direct questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I can try and answer them. Just advanced warning. I have only been with Rail Nation since December, and it is a very, very deep, knowledgeable game, and I am just not as deep and knowledgeable about it just yet. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn the mechanics of the game. It's probably become very apparent that I don't have as deep an understanding, but that is going to change. It all takes time. So if you're asking a question that's very knowledge based, I potentially might not know the answer, but if I don't know the answer, I'll make a note of it at least and find the answers for you. So let's have a look. Someone actually asked previously, is there any update on Orient Express? Honestly, I don't know. Currently right now, if there is any information, I would happily share it with you, but right now there is no update on that situation. The moment there is, I will gladly share it with you, but for now there isn't any update. It's a very popular question. Will there be transcript or summary of this? Yes. The announcement for all the Platform X features for Titans of Economy will be put on a blog. So you'll be able to see the individual workers, you'll be able to see the overview. We do intend to make sure that you're all kept informed. So you'll have access, the highlights of this actual stream will be made available to you so you can watch it at your own leisure. Based on your feedback already, closed captions need to be applied, so I will turn that on because apparently I haven't turned it on today. So you'll be able to hopefully use closed captions, so maybe that'll help. I believe closed captions will translate it too, so it's probably a benefit there. And I know from when I put this information on the blog, it will be translated anyway, so you will be able to read it at your own leisure in your own native tongue. But at the moment, it's only in English, unfortunately. As soon as I have better German skills, maybe I will have the confidence to try and speak a little bit German that isn't hilarious. But for the meantime, my German's not quite there. Any other questions? I asked a question, but she doesn't speak Russian. No, I don't speak Russian, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I'm not that good. Let me just see. A lot of Russian questions. Maybe if one of the community managers who speaks Russian could translate to me, then that would be great, and then maybe I can answer your question. Has anybody asked me a question directly? Nope. Let me just check in the Discord, because I know some of you are still asking questions in there. Let's see. Nope. Okay then. Well then that's fine. If no one asks any more questions, then I will move on to my little surprise announcement, because I'm pretty sure some of you are still waiting to find out what this surprise announcement is. So the section of this room that we are now approaching is the last part. So again, before I go into the surprise, yes, these are your dates and your service and when you can expect to be able to play Titans of Economy. But the first thing that I want to share for you is the majority of you who are here, thank you so much for joining. You are very much welcomed to the first stream. It is important that I at least see how engaging I can be and whether my nerves are destroying me completely, because I'm pretty sure they are. But I appreciate you all being here. I asked a Platform X. Okay. Sorry, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will make a note of it and I'll ask you. Yes, because all of you are here, I appreciate being here. And one of the things I want to do to say thank you is provide you with a bonus code. And this bonus code will be available for 1 hour only. And that's purely because you all stuck around and you all have helped me overcome this first hurdle of being able to do a stream for the first time for such an intense and dedicated community who are extremely interested in making sure that the game can be the best that it is. And because of that, I want to give you a bonus code. And the bonus code is RN, Rail Nation, Titans Stream. Exactly like it is there. Same way you do put in your other bonus codes. It's only available for 1 hour. And it means that you'll get 5 lottery tickets and 100 gold. And it'll only be activated from in half an hour's time. And it will be available for 1 hour. So don't miss out. Make sure that you activate it. And it's my way of saying thank you for being here with me and making this first stage less intimidating, because it has been quite intimidating. I appreciate all your feedback so far. It's been incredibly helpful. And the questions you've asked are extremely helpful as well. It gives us some insight as to what's important to you guys. And it's always important that if you do have questions or if there's any uncertainty about anything, that I'm able to provide some sort of support and communicate and make your lives a little bit easier when it comes to playing the game in a way that's enjoyable for you. There's a question here. Will there be a prestige mechanic for delivery of goods needed in the city reworked? And now the consumption takes the goods only for the storehouses, but why it doesn't take the goods from the player amount? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. But again, it is one of these ones that I'll make a note of to make sure that I can get you the answer. I will kindly ask the community stream to make a note of to make a note of all the questions that are being asked in the chat, so that I can get the answers to them if they haven't been answered already. But yeah, the bonus code is only for 1 hour, purely because you've been here. And thanks for joining for the thing. And then the last thing that I want to make sure I announce to you all, the last surprise, is I would like to kindly introduce you to the winner of May's Community Conductor Award. And that would be Kilot. I'm so sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. Kilot was the winner of our design and engine competition, and what an impressive engine he designed. The community voted extremely hard for him to win, and it was an impressive design. They went out of their way to do it in 3D. I know there was a big talk internally about how incredible some of your designs have been. They were mind-blowing. But yes, Kilot is our May Community Conductor winner, which means his name, along with Yanzi, will be inscribed on this wonderful award. And then at the end of the year, maybe if Kilot wins again, or whoever wins again, he'll maybe get the actual plaque sent to them to remember forever and become the Community Conductor of the Year. But Kilot in particular has done an incredible thing for the Rail Nation community. Not only did they win the design and engine competition, Kilot forfeit his prize and gave it to his friend who's going through quite a difficult time right now. And we found that was an incredibly kind and generous thing for them to do. That person entered the competition as well and didn't make it as far as Kilot did. But to be able to be kind to and give a little joy to his friend who also plays Rail Nation, he forfeit his prize to brighten the day and brighten the life of his friend. So for that, Kilot, we truly appreciate everything that you've done. You designed an incredible engine, and you are very much worthy of May's Community Conductor. But yes, thank you for that one, Kilot. We truly appreciate you. So a number of you are saying that the code is saying it's expired. The code hasn't activated yet, so the code will say it's expired. What I will do is, because a lot of you are already asking, can it be activated, is when the stream ends, which will be within the next 10 minutes, I will go ahead and make sure that I can activate that stream, because you're all very deserving. You've all stuck around with me. You've made this experience a lot easier than what I was worried it might be. But I'll make sure that I get the code activated from as soon as I finish the stream. I'll go in and turn it on for you. But it will still only be available for an hour. So it will go ahead maybe for an hour and 15 minutes. So yes, I see there's a couple of questions coming through. Are the developers ready to reveal all the formulas as part of creating the wiki? Yes, with regards to the wiki, if you've volunteered to help us with the wiki, we're going to make sure that you have access to the people that you need access to be able to answer your questions. So if you want to contribute towards the wiki, 100% reach out to our thingy, but we're not necessarily going to give out too much information to the actual the details of the game, obviously, but we will be able to give you updated information so that you can keep the wiki informed. But yes, we appreciate it. Oh, I'm just being told the code is now active, so you can now go into the game, add the code, and you'll be able to use the code straight away. But yes, if you want to volunteer for the wiki, please let the community management team know. There's a couple of them hanging around in the chat already, Yunara and Shumwei. If you are in the Discord, reach out to them there. If you want to be extra fancy, feel free to DM me and tell me that you want to be part of the wiki, and I will go ahead and do that. With regards to the ambassadors are actually going to be announced soon. I can sneakily tell you that we have selected 8. You may have already figured out who some of them are because they're lingering in the Discord. But the community ambassadors will be your community representatives, and they will be your voice to us, the team. And I can't wait to work with them. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the game and what needs to be improved. And more importantly, how do you experience and how do you like the new Platform X Titans of Economy? Because I'm extremely excited to see how you deal with that and how those end games are going to finish. But for me, that is it. It was very intense 90 minutes, and I'm hoping it was informative to you. In the future, we will have more of these streams. Like I said, we will have people from the Rail Nation team. They'll join me. It won't just be me alone in this room. I will have friends. I promise I have friends. And we will discuss anything that's related to like updates. We'll give you updates on a stream. We'll give you tips, and you can ask them questions. We can do AMAs. But overall, the intention is to let you guys have a closer look at our world and be closer connected to us so that you can be part of the process instead of feeling like you're not involved in any way and that we maybe don't listen to you. Because honestly, we do listen to you. Your opinions, your feedback, everything that you communicate with us is observed, listened to, and we take action based on what you want us to do. So that's the plan going forward. So don't feel like you're shouting into a void, because you're not. I'm looking, my team is looking, the Rail Nation team are looking, and we appreciate everything that you say to us. So for now, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll let you get yourselves hyped for Platform X Titans of Economy. I will see you in the future. See you guys, bye!